Hey guys, Freddy here. Welcome back to another house rules video. Now, to get something out of the way first, I've changed the way I'm recording this time. Actually, all my video and sound is being processed through NVIDIA Broadcast AI. So it should have cleared up the image around me because sometimes my webcam isn't that clear, and it should be getting rid of a lot of background noises, so my sound should be a lot clearer. However, on rewatching, I can't see much of a difference. So if you'd like to comment down below, let me know whether you think this is recording better or worse than it was before, because if it's coming out worse for yous, I might as well just discard this. Doesn't cost me anything, but I thought I'd give it a try. From looking into my image, I do look a lot a healthier colour than I often do, although there is still quite a bit of a shine on my big forehead. But we shall see how this works out. Anyway, going on to the subject of this week. In previous house rules videos, I've been adding elements, been going through other role-playing games and seeing which elements I would like to borrow from them and integrate into this rule system we're coming up together. But often I leave these things half done because I am just quickly sketching out the elements for the video. Now in this video, I've returned to one of those, the character creation system, and I have fleshed it out a lot more. There's a lot more meat on the bones of it. It's now 3,500 words. It makes up a lot of this document. Now, as usual, I've opened up the document here, and I've been so good in the past, we shall see if I'm good this time, and I've linked it in the notes down below so you can have a look. Now, what changes are there? In the majority of it, not much. I've added, as suggested in one of my Satanic Panic videos, to call this game about the world ending up down in hell, it should be called Satanic Panic. And that just seems such a genius suggestion that I've gone with it. So here we are, Satanic Panic, this way. Now, I've used the reference from one of the Satanic Panic leaflets. We've got the text that I originally wrote back in 1995. And all these sections which haven't changed a lot. There's a couple of spell check errors and things I've picked up on. I've rephrased a couple of things, but there's not much. Continuing down to Lifepath, though. Now, the Lifepath, as I'd chosen it for character creation, was you just selecting a few things. And that hasn't changed. But I have reformatted it more into a choose-your-adventure style thing. So you're taking a character through his life. Now again, this is a fairly bare bones version of it. As I said, it's 3,500 words, but you could really flesh this out, adding in totally different directions. I haven't added any new careers that you would go into, although these, as I was writing it, it was going to be lots and lots of inspiration for fleshing this out so much more. You could really have quite a lot of fun in character creation here. So, it says you choose one childhood, one for each year of youth, so 8, and one for each year of the adulthood, so 7. To follow your character through life, start at 1, follow the options you are given as you would in a choose-your-own-adventure type book. So, 1. Childhood. You were born at a young age, but where were you born? If you were born in the city, turn to 2. If you're born in a rural setting, turn to 3. So instead of just choosing those, you're following it through. Cities are rough and tumble places. You grow up, you gain streetwise +1 and security +1, as dealing with the gangs and keeping yourself safe are essential skills. You then enter your youth, so turn to 4. Whether you went to a big academy or a small school, you spent 8 years studying and had the choice of a range of options. So for each of the years, return to this section. Did you focus on sports? Turn to 5. In 5, we've got plenty of physical exercise, helps you gain balance and improves your athleticism. It also makes you physically imposing. You gain +1 athletics and +1 intimidation. Oh, there should be a space in there. So you're constantly spotting things. And you do this for all of the years. So at the end, if you still have years of school left from your 8 total, return to 4. Otherwise, move on to 11. So you keep looping through, choosing what you focus on each year. You've got your driver's ed, your science. They're still exactly the same. They offer you the same bonuses to skills as you go through them. But you are looping it through as you go through your life. And then you enter adulthood. You turn to 11 eventually. You've left school behind and started off your adult life, or maybe you've gone to university. Life is tougher as you stand a chance of failing now, but the opportunities are better. Your character is 7 years before they enter play, so you may choose one of the below for every year, rolling a d6 to see what happens. So, if you choose to attend university, turn to 12. Well, we'll follow that one through. So 12, university. You attend a year of university, gaining 2 skill points which you may place in science, medicine, research, or computers. I've broadened out the skills you can choose to allow people to customize their characters a bit more, but they're still fairly limited based on the career. Now, I've changed the way the dice rolling works because there now are usually ways you can avoid the penalty of the worst roll. But for each year you are in, you roll 1d6 and you choose the highest result. Much like inspiration or that in Dungeons & Dragons, where you are rolling an extra dice. So, if you roll a 1, between classes and coursework, the year passes uneventfully. This year you become close friends with one of your fellow students, gaining contact in whatever scholarly field they end up working in. A 3, you work closely with one of your tutors and take part in their research, gaining contact in education who specialises in a field of research. 4, you thrive in an educational environment, gaining a +1 to intelligence. 5, long nights of studying pay off, you gain a +1 to education. And 6, which is the bad one. Towards the end of the year, you're called to the Chancellor's office. Your coursework is remarkably close to that of another student's. You must make a successful persuasion plus charisma test against the other student's 4D, or be expelled from the university never to return. If you manage to succeed and end up rolling this again, it looks suspicious and becomes 2D harder each time. So, while you can avoid that and you can stay at university to keep getting the skill increases, because you are rolling 2d6 and taking the higher, your chance of returning to the highest one is increased every year. But again, while you might be succeeding that roll, it's going to be getting harder and harder each time. And these continue through. So the athletics one, constant competitive activity is without its risks on the 6, and you pick up an injury. This lowers your agility by 1 point, and unless you score 2 successes in an endurance test, this injury puts you out of competitive sports forever. So the agility loss is automatic, but you can stay in sports with that lower agility and perhaps pick it up because one of them is an increase in agility, the 5. Military has different ones, so you've got an injury. If you fail to get 2 successes in an endurance test, you get -1 to endurance and cannot continue in the military. But if you do get those 2 successes, you get through the year without a penalty. You don't get any bonuses from that year, but you can continue in it. 6, disobeying orders, insubordination, or whatever they want to call it, you put up in front of a tribunal. You must make a successful persuasion plus charisma test against the other officers 4D, or be dismissed from the military, never to return, with a -1 to charisma when dealing with the military in the future. If you manage to succeed and end up rolling this again, it looks suspicious and becomes 2D harder each time. So you can see it becomes more difficult to avoid these, but if you're really, really wanting to stay in that career and pick up the same skill points, then you can do by succeeding in that role. It's a bit different from the way we were handling it before, but I think it's a fairly decent way of handling it and allows you to be using your stats during character creation. Now, this idea would allow you to flesh this out so much more. You can have tons of different opportunities where your character has to succeed in something to get a bonus. You know, they must persuade something while they're still in character creation, and they end up getting a big bonus during their to their stats, to their skills, to their starting money. Most of them are much different though. So we've got warehouse work, we've got the shop work, we've got police, we've got farm, we've got medicine, we've got crime, and we've got the occult investigator one. Where its ones, the bad ones are in a battle with a demon, its claws rake across your weak human flesh, leading to a horrific injury, which leads to a -1 to appearance, but +1 to intimidation. So you can't roll to avoid that one, and it doesn't put you out of the career. But you are scarred, so you're more ugly, because you've got a horrific scar. You're off-putting, rather than ugly, I suppose I should put it. And you've got +1 to intimidation, because you are this big scarred person. You know, demonic marks on them, which can put the fear into other people. So there's an advantage to looking like that. You are now menacing. The 6 is not all injuries can be seen by the eye. The things you've seen, the horror, the mutilations, and the evil caused by real demons leads to you losing one from your willpower, unless you succeed on getting 4 successes on a willpower plus occult roll. So again, you've got the chance of avoiding it. But for the occult investigator, you don't end up coming out of that career. Now, this, I like the idea of, that you're actually playing your character during character creation, and you're gaining some stuff out of it, and you're losing some stuff out of it as you make up your character, and they've got history. And because of these events, you can be writing your character background as you're going along. You know, they spent a year at university and somebody accused them unjustly, or perhaps they were cheating their way through, so they ended up going into a life of crime afterwards. This might influence how you make your character. But as I said, this is pretty much what was in the system before. It's just much more fleshed out. There's now some meat on its bones, and it's a lot closer to what you would actually use in a full game. But anyway, that's just what I wanted to go over this time. I've fleshed out one of the systems that we've built up in the past and actually made it into a usable format. So I think I've probably whittled on for quite long enough. So thank you very, very much for watching as always. And as usual, most of all, you look after yourselves, and I'll catch you later. Bye now.